Extra Innings show here on KMOX. It's presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Joe Pott with you from Busch Stadium as the Cards fall in this one. 7-6 is the final this afternoon, and a disappointing afternoon certainly for the Cards, and kind of tough luck for a couple of pitchers. And maybe you'd be surprised if I told you before the game that it wasn't Eric Fetty. That wasn't who we were upset about, or that's not who really gave it up. He did have it wasn't a great start, but it was certainly better than we have seen from Eric Fetty in terms of he went into the fifth inning, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits. But at that point when he left, the Cards were even thanks to a 3-run or a 2-run home run from Nolan Gorman, a 3-run inning in the second inning for the Cards. In fact, the Cards were leading going into the 8th inning with Phil Maton and Ryan Helsley to come on for the relief corps. I think at that point, most would say, okay, Cards are in the right spot. They're where they should be. And unfortunately, it was just a situation of a couple of missed pitches for Phil Maton. We just had him on during the postgame show on the network side, and that's what he said. He also said he's got to flush this one and move on, but he walks Ronald Acuna Jr. after a double from Jack Jurickson Profar. So there's a couple on base already, and then gives up the home run to Sean Murphy, who obviously has enjoyed playing in St. Louis so far this weekend. A couple of homers yesterday, the big home run here in the 8th. And then in the 9th inning, 2 ground ball base hits against Ryan Helsley turn into a run. And then the Cardinals couldn't do anything against Raisel Iglesias, who picked up his 11th save with a 1-2-3 9th inning. And just one of those days, I think, for the Redbirds. They scored 6 runs. And when you score 6 runs, and again, you're going into the latter innings with 2 of your biggest relievers, your highest leverage guys coming out of the bullpen, you feel like you're in pretty good shape. Today, it did not go the Redbirds' way. If you want to get in, please do so. 314-436-7900. You could also jump on the socials. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on X. And drop us a comment right there on the stream. I'll see it. I'll have a chance to talk about it here on the air as the Cards now looking at trying to salvage a game from this series and hope for a split on this homestand. I said going into this homestand last week when they finished up the tough series at Wrigley, I said, you've got to come in here thinking that you win 2 of 3 in each game. You win 4 out of 6 on the homestand. That's obviously out the window, but you have a chance to split this homestand, so it's not terrible, and that would put you into the All-Star break 5 games up. Now, again, when you look at the beginning of the homestand and you realize they could be 8 or 9 games up going into the break, that would have been nicer. But at this point, 5 games up going into the All-Star break, again, with a win tomorrow, they're 4 up right now, so with a win tomorrow, that's where they're at. They've got their ace Sonny Gray going tomorrow. And I largely do think this is, I had this conversation with Kyle Sixta, who works with us here at Busch Stadium in the booth. He's the one actually responsible for all of the post-game audio you hear on our shows from Busch Stadium. He's the one in the clubhouse doing that. But we keep talking about expectations before the season and how this team has exceeded those expectations. And obviously, when you talk to the guys in that clubhouse, they'll tell you those expectations were already there for them. But then my problem is, or my thing becomes, yes, they've exceeded those expectations from before, but now that this team has gotten there, now that we see, I think, where the potential lies, my expectations have risen. This was a team that when they finished that series against Cleveland a couple of weeks back, they were 9 games up, 9 games over 500. They were 2.5 games, I believe, out in the National League Central Division, and it just has sort of been a little bit, a couple of steps forward, 3 steps back, a couple of steps forward, 3 steps back. Random Bag of Chips on our stream asks, should the Cardinals trade or even DFA Eric Fetty? I think that both of those things are on the table. That would be my expectation when Michael McGreevy has given you what he has. I'm going all the way back to last year where he pitched a full season of AAA. He finished the year with several starts in the bigs. He has done everything you've asked him to do at the AAA level. I believe that he should be in that rotation. I think there are folks in the organization that believe he should be in that rotation. But as we've talked about, and as you've heard talked about right here on KMOX this week, that is not strictly an Oliver Marmol decision, because I also think that he believes that Michael McGreevy should be in this rotation. So, yes, to answer your question, I think the Cardinals will try to move on from Eric Fetty, and I think it depends on what that looks like. So, is there somewhere out there that could use an Eric Fetty? I don't know the answer to that, because if you're a team that is way out in front and you're looking to bolster your pitching staff, I don't know that Eric Fetty does that. If you're a team that is, way back in the standings, does he bolster your pitching staff? Does he do anything for you? Probably not. This is a similar conversation I just had with my man Kyle Sixta here, between just this afternoon. We were talking, I think it was between the 8th and 9th inning, and those are the kind of things we're kicking around. But I also say never say never, because you don't know what one team finds valuable. Sam Foreman says, why didn't Ali leave JoJo in to pitch to Jurickson Profar, who was leading off the 8th inning? He did pitch yesterday. Jojo Romero did. I think that was probably a situation of you got what you wanted out of Romero there to finish off that 7th inning. You've got a rested Phil Maton. That's what you want. Again, when you're going into the 8th inning and you've got your 8th inning guy, your 9th inning guy in line, you've got your two highest leverage relievers in line for those last 2 innings. That's what you do. That's what you go with. And I think that's the answer, and that's what he was not asked. Oliver Marmol was not asked that in the postgame media session, but I think that's what he would tell you. Those are your two guys. And Phil Maton has been the guy all season long. There's really been, very little issue that he has not been able to, and he's pitched around traffic. There have been games where it looks like, oh boy, he's going to get himself in some trouble. And he's one of those guys that when you got to have a strikeout, he seems to always get the strikeout. If you need to get something, if you need to retire a hitter without advancing runners, all those kind of things, he seems to be one of the best. He has been one of the best. Not seems to be, he has been one of the best in doing that so far this year, to the tune of, even with today, to the tune of a 2.5 ERA. So he's your guy. And he's your guy in the 8th, and Hills is your guy in the 9th, and they had those guys, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Alex Adams asked, the last time Ryan Helsley pitched before today, I don't know if it had been a while for him. I'm looking right now to hopefully tell you when the last time he was out there and pitched for the Redbirds. Because I think it's been more of a situation that you just haven't gotten to the situation where you wanted to use your closer. That's been more of the issue. I don't think that there's any physical issue with Ryan Helsley that has kept him out of action at any point. I think it's just been those kind of games. The last time he worked was against the Nationals a couple of days back, and he pitched a scoreless inning, gave up a hit, and walked a batter in that one, and picked up the save. And before that, it was in the Chicago series, and before that, it was in the Cleveland series. He's working as he normally would be working, so no reason there. I don't know why. There's no reason that I would have gone with Helsley in the 9th inning right there too. I feel like that that was the right call. I didn't have any problem with him using him in the tie game, and I don't think that, again, I don't have any reason to believe that there's a physical issue with Ryan Helsley right now. Again, if you want to get in, 314-436-7900. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We'll continue with more on the Extra Innings show. We do have some post-game audio we might be able to get to as well. We did have a chance to hear from Phil Maton in our network post-game, but we have not had a chance to hear from Eric Fetty. Maybe we'll get a chance to hear from Eric Fetty coming up here on the other side of the break, and we've got time for your comments, your calls, 314-436-7900, or as I said, jump on the socials, drop a comment right there on the stream, and we will address it. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about as the Cardinals fall today to the Braves by a final of 7-6. We'll take a break. I'll come back, and we'll continue with more on the Extra Innings show right here on KMOX. Joe Pott back at Busch Stadium as the Cardinals fall to the Braves here this afternoon. 7-6 the final score. The Extra Innings Show is presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Glad you're with us. You can get with us here on the air, 314-436-7900, or drop a comment on our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on X. Find us on all those. Drop your comment right there, and we'll talk about it. Let's hear a little bit from Eric Fetty, who did start today's game, and it's been a rough go, obviously, for Eric Fetty. Certainly his last few starts, but even going all the way back really to the complete game in Washington. Today, he talks about his outing. This came up right after the game.
Obviously, could have gone a little better. Giving up the runs early is never good, but obviously everyone knows the way things have been going, and today I felt much more in control of my stuff and the zone, so a step forward. But guys did a great job behind me, playing good defense, scoring some big runs. Graceffo was great after me and picked me up there in the fifth. So, overall, head held high after today.
Overall, you mentioned how things have been going on recently. Where's your confidence level at right
now? Trying to be as positive as I can today. Like I said, felt much more in control of just my stuff in the zone, and a couple big swings on pitches I could have executed better, but overall, something to build off of going into the break.
What's the week between starts been like for you from a work perspective? Did you have to do anything different? Did you want to do anything different just in terms of one to the next?
Yeah. I think, it's one of those things where obviously things aren't working, so you got to look. Worked a lot on just like my front side and trying to be more in control of the pitches and in the sense get the action back. And overall, a lot of my stuff was good. Changeup was really good today. There were some things to build off of, and obviously 3 runs isn't ideal, but overall much better just all around.
The homers, that stretch with the balls on the ground as well as not walking anybody until that last batter of the game, is that kind of indication of things going well for you today?
Yeah, for sure. Teams have just been extremely aggressive against me, so it's about executing that first pitch. And it's been better. Obviously, in that spot with Olsen where, it's like 10 pitch plus at bat, with a guy on second in a tie game, just didn't want to give in. And, that's where that walk came from. But overall, I'm much happier with my stuff.
Eric, what you described there was just not wanting to give in to Olsen in that spot. What, I guess, does that kind of describe or highlight anything, just kind of what you're looking for in this process?
Yeah. Well, a lot of things are important on making the right pitches when you can, but I felt like I executed 4 or 5 in a row, and then unfortunately missed the sinker in there. But very happy with the stuff. Obviously all-star quality hitter, and just not a place where wanted to give up the single or anything else.
After that start, I think you retired 6 in a row, 10 out of 12 during stretch. What does that do for your confidence to remind you that you've done this at a high level before?
Yeah, for sure. I know that's the mentality I wanted to have. Even after the home run in the first, I just felt like my stuff was better and, able to go after guys. Some positivity there in my mental game. And, just overall, awesome that the team and Gorman with that big swing to get me back into a 3-3 game. Those guys picking me up helps with everything as well.
Important to have shutdown innings after you get it tied. They got it tied, and then you had a couple of shutdown innings. That had to help your confidence.
Yeah, 100%. After we scored the 3, had the top of their lineup and got through it nice and quickly, and that's what the team needs from me. So very happy with that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Eric Fetty after the game talking about his outing here this afternoon. He goes 4 2/3, gives up 3 runs. So look, it's not a great outing, but when you put that up against what he's done, it's a better outing from Eric Fetty. And you can't say that at least he didn't put you in a position, or he put you in a bad position, I guess you could say. You wouldn't say that after today's outing. It was the end of the game. It was the 8th and 9th inning. The Cardinals gave up 4 runs in those 8th and 9th innings. In fact, my guy Chris Bray on our stream says 4 runs in the 8th and 9th is rough. He's quoting his inner Tony La Russa, asking for a hard 9 out of this group instead of limping into the break. And I think that's the most disappointing, is that you look at Atlanta and Washington coming into this homestand, and you've got an opportunity to go into the All-Star break on a legitimate high note. Now, you have a chance to go in with a win tomorrow, but you're 5 games over when you know you could have been 8 games over or 9 games over when you look back at this homestand. And not winning both these series, to me, is disappointing. However, not necessarily unsurprising, because that's been what is tough about this team, is the inconsistency. And I think that it's just because we've seen long streaks. We've seen a couple of decent winning streaks. Certainly the 9-game streak in May comes to mind. But then we've seen a 5-game and a 6-game losing streak, or where they'll win 3 of 4 and then they'll drop 4 of 5. And it seems like any progress they made is washed away. And it seems like that's been sort of the sign of this team, sort of the for lack of a better term, it's been kind of the calling card of what this team's done. A lot of that has to do with the fact that you've got some younger guys getting some opportunities, and you've got some guys that just haven't performed all that well for an extended period of time. And I think specifically those are your 2 starters that we've already talked about, Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty, who both have had okay starts this last time through. Now you've got your ace on the mound tomorrow afternoon and the opportunity to get a win going into the All-Star break. What's on Deck is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com. That is what's on deck. Your ace. Sonny Gray goes tomorrow afternoon in a 1:15 start. It will be a 12:20 pregame show here on KMOX. The Braves have not yet decided upon a starter for their game tomorrow afternoon. The Card's going to try to salvage a game from the series and then get into the All-Star break on a high note. You get into the All-Star break, you know you're going into the break with a winning record. Now you have a chance to go into the break 5 games up, maybe a chance to reset that rotation. I don't know what it looks like as far as any movement goes. Somebody had asked earlier about Eric Fetty and whether or not he stays or goes. That's all for somebody other than me to answer. In my opinion, he goes. Michael McGreevy's in the rotation, but we'll see how it all plays out after the All-Star break and where this team and what this team can do in the second half of the season. Big thanks to Mike Claiborne, Rick Horton, Jim Jackson, and Kyle Sixta upstairs in the booth. John Rooney's been out this weekend. He'll be back coming up after the All-Star break. Huge thanks to Drew Young, keeping us on time and in line the whole afternoon long. I'm Joe Pott. I'll talk to you tomorrow beginning at 12:20 on the pregame show as the Cards finish out this first half against the Braves. Keep it here on your home of the Cardinals, KMOX.